Hi everybody, this is Michelle from Virtual Hand Care, your online hand expert. In this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 reasons why you might be getting numbness and tingling in your fingers when you're working at your computer. I've been getting a lot of people reaching out to me lately about this because, well, during the pandemic, people weren't going to work anymore and everybody just all of a sudden started working from home. You were scrambling to try to find a place in your home that you could work from. If you don't have an office, maybe you were using a closet or you were shoved in your bedroom. Unfortunately, over time of staying in those not optimal positions can lead to aches and pains and numbness and tingling in our nerves. And so I want to give you my top 5 tips that perhaps you can then look at your desk space and your workspace and see if you can make some of these little adjustments to help decrease the numbness and tingling that you're getting in your fingers when you're working at the computer. Reason number 1 that I find that people get numbness and tingling in their fingers when they're working at their desk is because of neck position and neck posture. This obviously is not ideal where my monitor is at. Ideally, I would want to have my monitor right in front of me so I'm looking dead on to my monitor and I'm not having to turn my head. But I do see a lot of the time that many people have maybe a corner desk or maybe they have a bunch of stuff in front of them and they're always looking to one side. Well, what that does is you're actually making one side really tight in the neck and the other side is always on a stretch. And that can make things really sore and painful. Eventually, it can kind of pinch and compress the nerves that come off the neck and come down into the fingers. So the first thing that I want you to do is to make sure that you're looking at the position of your monitor and where your monitor is at and make sure that it is directly in front of you. Now, if you have 2 monitors, you would want to make sure that those are equally set in front of you as well. Now, this is if you are using both monitors about the same percentage of time. So if you're constantly kind of going from one screen to the next screen, about 50-50 or so, then you would want both of them to be directly in front of you. Now, reason number 2 I find is that the elbows are not necessarily in the best position when working at the computer. What we usually do is we reach for everything, right? So if we put our keyboard right here, well, we just reach our arms here. If we put our mouse here, well, we just kind of reach for our mouse. So what we're doing is we're either oftentimes I find if people are having numbness and tingling in their hand is because they are reaching too much with their elbow and therefore they're resting on their hand. This is one of the most common positions that I find people in. So, a shoulder is in a lot of flexion here for a longer period of time. Elbow is straight and then hand is actually compressed down onto the desk. And if you're working for a long length of time, several hours a day, that eventually can cause a lot of numbness and tingling in the fingers as well. So what you would do to fix that is you would want to bring your keyboard and your mouse closer to you so that you are not having to reach for the keyboard and the mouse. So reason number 3 that I often find why you might get some numbness and tingling is kind of similar to reason number 2, except this one is the lean. So I find that this happens most of the time with stand-up desks because you get tired, right? Your body doesn't want to stand for so long. I do like stand-up desks, but you're not meant to stand up at them all day long. And if you find that you're leaning because you're getting tired, well, it's time to move that sit to stand desk down to sitting and taking a break. So if you're getting numbness and tingling, notice if you have a tendency to lean on that elbow. Or this is another position that I find people in. They're reading at their monitor and they're just leaning on their hand, on their wrist, and leaning on the elbow a lot. Well, our ulnar nerve goes right through this space right here. And if we're always leaning on that, that can lead to aggravation, right? That nerve can get really mad from constantly leaning on it hours after hours, day after day. So I invite you to see if you are leaning on your elbow, and if you are, see if you can cut down on the amount of pressure you're putting on that elbow and see if that helps. So reason number 4 why you might be getting numbness and tingling in the fingers, we have a tendency to use the mouse as like a resting point for our hand. So our hand is always resting on the mouse. Instead, what we should be doing is when we don't need to click or use the mouse, we should be removing our hand from that position. So the next time you're sitting at your computer, take notice, and if you're reading something on the screen, which most of the time you probably are, do make sure that you're removing your hand from the mouse as often as you can. So if you're just like this and you're reading something and you don't need to be really scrolling too much, but even if you do, use the up and down arrows, use some keys to take the pressure off of your hand. So try to reduce the amount of time that you're resting your hand on your mouse. And reason number 5 that you might be getting numbness and tingling in your fingers at your desk could be because you're not taking enough breaks. You're not moving enough, you're not stretching, you're not getting out of this position that you're in day after day, hour after hour. So I highly, highly encourage you to work on moving in opposite directions of what you're in all day long. So if you're typing like this all day, go out into a few opposite movements as often as you can, especially if you're working a full 8 to 10 hour day, just to get out of this position that you're in all day so you can stretch and let everything move and glide better throughout your body. Now, if you're looking for a few really quick exercises that you can do at the computer for your hands and your fingers, then check out this video here where I go over 3 simple stretches that you can do that won't take you much time. If you need help with your desk setup, then I'll put a link below of where you can sign up for a remote ergonomic assessment with yours truly. You'll send me photos of your desk setup so I can see you at your workstation and see what you're working with and what your setup is like. And then what happens is we meet virtually and we talk through making changes to your workstation and also creating an easy to follow stretching and movement program to break up your day. If you found this video helpful, do give it a like and don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for watching.